The Price of Truth, a Tycoon's Journey to Islam. The sky over London was cloudy the day Edward Langston signed the deal that made him a billionaire. The city's steel skyline watched silently as cameras flashed, reporters screamed questions, and champagne spilled into crystal flutes. Edward, a tall, silver-haired magnate in his mid-50s, wore a perfectly tailored navy suit and a mask of calm confidence. He had everything: power, wealth, global influence. Yet something inside him remained profoundly unsettled. The emptiness had started years ago, a silent whisper in his soul. At first, he drowned it in success: buyouts, luxury yachts, island resorts, and gala dinners. But the whisper grew louder. It came at night, when he stood before the floor-to-ceiling glass of his penthouse suite, looking down at a city he owned, but a peace he never knew. One winter evening, after a particularly ruthless boardroom victory, Edward returned home to silence. His home automation system greeted him. The lights obeyed his gesture, and the fireplace flickered to life. But something else caught his eye: a plain, brown envelope on his desk. No name, no address. Curious, Edward opened it. Inside was a single, antique-looking page, aged and brittle, written in a script he didn't recognize. Along with it was a note: "This is where your journey begins." He frowned. A prank? Industrial espionage? Yet something told him this was no joke. Days passed. The document haunted him. He showed it to experts: linguists, historians, cryptographers. One finally identified it as an early Arabic script, possibly Quranic. Edward scoffed. Religion? But he had it translated. The words, once decoded, hit like thunder. Do they not reflect within themselves? Allah did not create the heavens and the earth and what is between them except in truth and for an appointed term. Yet many of the people are heedless of the meeting with their Lord. Quran 30:8. Something cracked in him. For weeks, Edward obsessed over the verse. He read it again and again. There was a mystery here, something beyond logic, beyond business. His elite world, once so stable, began to feel shallow. He couldn't ignore the pull any longer. Edward quietly hired a private researcher to explore Islamic texts. The man, Farid, was a quiet Oxford graduate with a warm demeanor. He didn't preach. He listened. Week by week, they sat together in the study, sipping tea as Farid unfolded the world of Tawheed, mercy, and divine purpose. What struck Edward was the clarity. The Quran didn't negotiate truth, it declared it, with grace and finality. Unlike the ever-changing ethics of his world, Islam was unshakable. It had rules, yes, but it also had profound compassion. Then came the dreams. He started seeing a desert, always at dawn. A lone man in white stood on a dune, his face radiant but unreadable. Sometimes the man spoke in Arabic. Sometimes he simply pointed toward the horizon where a light burst like a sunrise. Disturbed, Edward told no one. But one day, as Farid was explaining the life of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, a painting fell from the wall, crashing, glass shattering. Behind it, unnoticed for years, was a safe Edward had forgotten. His hands trembled as he turned the dial. Inside was a sealed letter, written by his mother before her death. If you're reading this, then the path has found you. I never told you about my grandfather. He was a Muslim who emigrated from Syria. Your name, Edward, was once Ishaaq, but we buried that past when your father insisted. I'm sorry, my son. I hope you forgive us. Find who you are. The letter broke him. He wept, not for the lies, but for the truth denied him. His dreams made sense. The verse made sense. His restlessness made sense. He flew to Turkey under a pseudonym. Farid arranged for him to stay with a scholar in Konya. Days became weeks. The call to prayer, once strange, now stirred his soul. One evening, as the sun set behind Selamite Mosque, Edward sat on a prayer mat, shaking. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. The words left his lips like rain after drought. Wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. The scholar embraced him. Welcome home, brother Ishaaq. Edward Langston vanished from headlines. But rumors swirled. Shares were sold. Foundations were opened under new names. a mysterious benefactor began funding orphanages, hospitals, and Quran schools across war-torn lands. The world forgot the billionaire. But in the narrow alleys of Damascus, the refugee camps of Gaza, and the villages of Mali, whispers grew of a white-haired man who walked barefoot, reciting Quran with tears in his eyes. He now lived simply in Fez, Morocco, his home, a humble riad filled with books and prayer mats. Children called him Uncle Ishaaq. His days began with far, his nights with Diker. Sometimes at dawn, he'd walk to a hilltop and whisper, "Thank you, Allah, for saving me from everything I thought I needed." He had paid the price of truth, not with his wealth, but with surrender. And in that surrender, he found everything. And subscribe to Deen in Minute for more real-life Islamic stories that ignite your heart, awaken your soul, and connect you to Allah. May this story inspire you to reflect and reconnect. JazakAllah Khayran.